You can't keep me cooped up in here, okay? I am a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
Your podcast ahead of time, I guess. Then.
Welcome to the Poppycock Podcast, where we're not experts and the topics don't matter. I'm joined today by Sam, one of the other spawn my family created. And are those guinea pig nipples? Is that a female or a man? I don't.
It's supposed to be a man, but we don't know.
I can't tell if that's a guinea pig vagina or if those are testicles.
They look basically the same.
For the record, on humans, they don't. You'll get that talk later. Let's go back to the Batman. I personally feel like Pattinson should be in better shape. I think ideally he would at least look like he can do an American Ninja Warrior competition, because if they are setting it around year 1, year 2-ish of his career, he should have been pretty fresh off of being trained by the League of Assassins or League of Shadows or whatever name they're giving him this time around. So he should be fit, and something you hear in interviews with who was it? I want to say it was like the people who've played Superman and Batman and Thor and Aquaman, they talk about how a lot of the fitness level you get at first is really just to be healthy enough to do the stunts. For all we know, all the shirtless or cool-looking scenes are done, and it's all just Batman in a suit walking around. And Michael Keaton wasn't buff, but he looked great as Batman. But he also convinced me that he was mentally unstable, the whole let's get nuts Joker thing, where he's like smashing vases and so forth. I don't believe that Robert Pattinson is insane. I just believe he's kind of a douche. And this isn't coming from someone who wants to watch it fail, because I've been stoked about this since it was announced up until I read the GQ interview, where he's really like, sometimes I lose track of time. I really hate doing this. It's just a real bummer trying to work out. And he seems not to be very grateful or aware of the fact that he's playing one of the most recognizable characters in the world right now.
Honestly, more than I don't care whether or not he can get what he's doing will get him in shape, because ultimately that's his responsibility.
Well, they've already filmed part of it, so what he looks like in those photos is as good as he's going to look there. I mean, people didn't like Ben Affleck murdering people, but he at least looked like he walked out of a comic book.
All I'm saying is, for me, it's less about the actual work and more about his attitude.
That was the thing that bothered me the most.
It's disrespectful, I think, to a lot of people who already have to get in shape, especially in a place where there's so many superhero movies.
Yeah.
A lot of people are already doing that.
Because if you look at Black Panther, realistically, Chadwick Boseman wasn't super buff in the role, especially when you see Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger. He was a lot bulkier than Chadwick was, but Chadwick still looked like, if a normal person was at a barbecue and Chadwick was there in his swim trunks, you would be intimidated. It's just we don't all look like Hollywood people. So on screen, there's sort of like an elevated sense of attractiveness and fitness, and I'm just not convinced that Robert Pattinson is going to convince me that if they're going for the angle that Batman is just a regular dude who, because of his money, can have enough toys and trinkets to fight crime, I'll believe that. He's a good detective who happens to have enough toys to make up for the fact that he's getting shot at.
I don't like that. No.
I don't especially like it either, but I'm saying that it's a trick that the movie could sell me on, because the director's incredible. The person who designed the Batmobile is incredible.
It is a dope Batmobile.
It's an incredible Batmobile. It's a unique looking Batmobile, and I think that the Batsuit looks more like Netflix's Daredevil costume than any Batsuit I've ever seen. And I like that it's unique. And I'm fine with the idea of a Batman who isn't a hulking mass, and he's a little bit more of like a detective who's just, like I said, American Ninja Warrior levels of fitness, where he's just spry and quick, and he's muscular, but it's not like, rolled steel. But I'm not confident that I'm going to believe when he steps on screen that he can throw down with people with superpowers. Samuel, I'm aware of the fact that you are a fan of the Blacklist series. I'm a fan of the Blacklist series. Daniel's a fan of the Blacklist series. I think the James Spader is proof that, Age of Ultron is one of the weirdest edited Avengers movies. Like, it has really weird cuts back and forth in it. Like, it's something I wasn't aware of until I watched it on Disney+. But the fact that James Spader is in it, and he's delivering those ridiculous monologues and lines, his conversation with Paul Bettany's vision at the end about humanity being doomed, and about how it's not, the importance of protecting humanity isn't that it's flawless or that it'll last forever. It's just that it exists at all, and you should appreciate it while it's here. And the uniqueness and the beauty that they're capable of, although temporary, should be respected. And then he's like, you're naive, and he's mad about it. And he's like, well, I was born yesterday. And then he zaps him, and it's like, it's one of the most beautiful things I've seen since Firefly that I think Joss Whedon has had a hand in. The Blacklist. What season is there? Is it season 7, season 9 at this point?
I'm not caught up at this point. I don't know.
Let me check. I'll do the research.
And because of the coronavirus, they had to, on their final season, animate scenes that are intercut without any explanation, as far as I know, from the clip that I've seen, in a live-action thing. And the animation is like previs or something you'd see on a PlayStation 1, maybe an early PlayStation 2.
I wouldn't even call that PlayStation 1.
It was definitely the same. It was definitely, that was like original,
I've just
that was like
seen
Final
for-
Fantasy VII, the first version levels of animation.
I recall-
It made Telltale look good.
It was
8 seasons.
8 seasons.
Yes.
It was just real bad. It looked real bad.
Their faces are weirdly put on.
I-
Also, the editing and pacing of it was really weird,
Honestly,
too.
I think let's do what Psych did. Just cut it off, scrap what they've done, and prepare for a movie that summarizes everything. Sort of Serenity it.
Yeah.
A lot of shows did that for a while.
And I think that's a smart way to do it. And if you want to bring back the Blacklist, like the Blacklist returns as a new show.
I just think that I think, Daniel brought that up earlier while we were hanging out, that 5 years from now, when people find the Blacklist on Netflix and they binge it, they're going to get to the final season expecting a lot of answers and be completely confused as to why all of a sudden it turns into the worst anime ever.
It's not even anime.
I wish it was.
I
Oh
wish
my
it
gosh, because of the voice acting, people can just go in and intercut anime versions of it.
I hope. Do you think if we wait long enough, someone will do like really intense anime version?
I'd sign up to be anime wrestler. Red Sun, your criminal empire is at an end. It's really, you just go deep,
But
you
Red's just
growl,
like,
and you add a
"No."
lot of you sounds. Yeah, you just get a really bad James Spader person who's like, no.
No, I'm not going to do that. Liz is my daughter, maybe.
Yeah. What is that? What is... They're like, you're her not father. Because her father was that, but not that. Because you maybe were, but secrets.
From what I understand.
And then there's a midget.
From what I understand, I don't know if we're doing spoiler talk, but
Sam, we're talking about the fact that the final season has weird animation. We're already in the end game now.
okay. Regarding like Liz's relationship, I think they confirmed who, or at least found out who her dad is. And
I thought that as well. And then I saw another season where at least part of the arc was the whole premise of Red was lying, or Red was lied to, or Red was keeping a secret for someone he cared about. I think they just... If he's not her dad, it's weird that he requested her. And if he is her dad, they've waited a really long time to make it a convoluted answer of what everyone assumed from the first episode.
Oh, I have so many answers, but I can't because Sam's not that far ahead.
But just give us something vague and nondescript. Do they
don't-
stop chasing that in later seasons? Do they?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, they do not hold on to any sort of plot points.
They don't Smallville it where they draw out the relationship complications for like 4
Smallville I
seasons
have
too
my own
long.
problems with just because it was like no tights, no flights, because that was their whole thing. And then he's flying in tights by like the end of the show.
It's literally the last few minutes of it though, because he's finally become Superman. And by
It's
my
the
thing
same
was
problem
saying,
that I have with Last Airbender having Legend of Korra with other Airbenders.
here's the thing. For Smallville, I was referencing the fact that the Lana Clark will they won't they relationship went on for about 3 seasons too long. Because at one point she was married to Lex Luthor. And had his kid maybe, and faked her own death. And then in the comic books, she comes back alive, but she gets kryptonite-based superpowers. So Lex Luthor curses her. Okay, let me try and remember this. Lex Luthor infects her with something that will either kill her or give her kryptonite-based superpowers, meaning that she will either die and Clark won't have his childhood love interest in his life, or they will never be allowed to see each other again because she would literally kill him, which also is in a weird, cheesy way, a nice callback to the first season where Clark was a fairly competent guy, but he got awkward around Lana because she had a kryptonite necklace from the meteor shower.
Dumb but effective.
It was a very early 2000s, oh, why is he such a silly boy? It's oh, I get so clumsy and awkward, because you're dying of radiation poisoning. High school can be difficult. Like the episode where their coach has a hothead and he has pyromaniac powers. That was an episode. At one point
What about the guy who was listening to Papa Roach when he had kryptonite roaches?
Or that time that his friend... Oh gosh, what was Superman's friend that they had for a while that then disappeared? But he came back in a season and then had stride gum that had kryptonite in it that made him stretchy. Like Mr. Fantastic when he chewed it. There was a season where they had bad
stuff
fun.
that gives you powers now?
Yeah, it was basically it was their metahuman excuse. Instead of the particle accelerator, yeah, they were called meteor freaks, and it was the wall of weird that Chloe Sullivan had. And then in real life, Chloe Sullivan's actress joined a sex cult where they would brand people.
You told me about that one.
It's
And she tried to get the actress that played Lana to join, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to come hang out." And then she realized it was a sex cult, and she's like, "I'm good. I'm gonna go be on that CW show that's a Beauty and the Beast remake." But he's like a soldier who was tested on, and he became like a werewolf. I didn't watch it.
Why would you?
I just saw the ads for it, and I was like, I can't believe Teen Wolf is better than this. And I don't just mean the Michael J. Fox version. Which, by the way, in Japan, they renamed the character, so the Michael J. Fox Teen Wolf movie is actually in the Back to the Future continuity in Japan. They made it the same character. Instead of calling him, Kyle or whatever his name was in the 1980s movie, he's just Marty again. So it's remember that time when you time traveled? And remember that time you became a werewolf? And remember the other 2 times you time traveled? And it's just... Marty! I don't know why it became the Flintstones. They time traveled. How did they never go to the prehistoric era?
The Flintstones?
No. Back to the Future. Although
there were only 3 movies.
The Flintstones did have that alien that showed up.
Yeah, that they worshipped as a violent god.
Seems like a Legends of Tomorrow episode when you say it like that.
No, they're like, it's a tiny god. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be worshipped as god. I'm a little zip-zap the alien. And it's like, the zip-zap's alien is angry. Quick kill for our violent god. And it's like, no, I don't want violence. Our god is weak. Kill it.
I genuinely can't argue.
And
For all I know, that's true.
Organs into the first Winstons.
See, that part I know is a lie. But the rest of it I can neither confirm nor deny because I'm not a Flintstone
And I
expert.
went bowling with a turtle that was a ball.
Turtle dinosaur.
Because everything was a dinosaur version.
Yeah.
Or a bird.
Prehistoric birds. Is a bird dinosaur.
Technically, dinosaurs were birds.
They're all creatures that Ross would have studied in Friends.
Like Homo erectus.
What was I saying? Have you ever heard the theory / I don't remember. I just remember this from minor detail that what isn't the Jetsons and Flintstones the same universe?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like an upper class lower class thing.
Oh, I didn't know it was at the same time. I thought it was just in the same continuity.
I don't know.
In the sky, the Jetsons exist, and then when you're cast out from society, you're thrown down to the cavemen.
That's what
That's way cooler because the Samurai Jack, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter theory is confirmed, but that's because they're alternate timelines.
Oh.
Samurai Jack is both the past and a potential future, and then Dexter is the normal, and then Powerpuff Girls, either Powerpuff Girls or Dexter experience a person from the future who comes back to their time, and they show their time, and it's the same as Samurai Jack's world, but clean. So it's a version where the events of Samurai Jack don't take place. Also, I think that one where the girl's a robot and has pigtails and fights crime might also be in the same universe.
Don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was weirder. It was like My Teenage Robot or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't that original. It was one of those Toonami things when the weird space samurai guy would call it, "Next up on Toonami." Remember that?
Vague.
Yeah.
It's like, you're watching this. And I always thought it was like Adult Swim where I'm not supposed to watch it, so I used to get concerned. But then it would be Samurai Jack. I was like, well, this is a cartoon. I can definitely watch this.
Of course, now Samurai Jack's coming back on Adult Swim, isn't it?
Back from the past, it's Samurai Jack?
I just know that they brought back.
Yeah, they brought back another season, and it's a little bit more violent, I believe. Because we're adults now.
Didn't you say it was going to be on Adult Swim or something like
It's
that?
probably, because...
It is.
Think about it. The people who grew up watching that are adults now.
Yeah.
We're adults.
I'm just saying, that did happen.
Have you stopped to think about the fact that we're adults?
It hits me every once in a while.
Just like Dad. Awkward silence.
Well, audio-wise, you can't communicate the glare that I just gave.
You could if it was loud enough. You just gotta glare harder. See, you let out a sigh. Now I know someone's upset. It's called voice acting, Sam. Try it out. Gosh.
Yeah, and if you're startled, go.
Sam, put your pants back on. See? Okay, well that just sounded blowjob-ish. That is not...
No.
Stop voice acting!
The muscle right above my left cheek just tensed up because I slept weird. Ow. Ow.
Anything other than Batman and the Blacklist you'd like to talk about?
Yes. I'd like to just get it out there right away. Frickin' Frankenstein Chronicles. It was a show that was
Oh my god.
I'm getting this out of my system.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's a show that was really good, got 2 seasons, and it just stopped, and now there's like an entirely different show that has, like, it's a different Frankenstein show, which I can't imagine Netflix is going to be running 2 Frankenstein shows at the same time.
Unless they Frankenstein them together.
I don't freaking care. They teased some really cool stuff.
Like syphilis.
That was in the first season.
Oh, they cured syphilis by season 2.
Well, like, they freaking teased other monsters might show up, but they're, like, different, because the book exists in that world of Frankenstein.
So she was just like, oh, I remember that when that guy was having sex with corpses. What if I wrote a book loosely based on it?
What?
What?
No, there's no sex with corpses.
Bride of Frankenstein? I think someone is.
That's not what the Bride of Frankenstein was about.
Who's having sex with Frankenstein? This monster.
Yeah, the Bride of Frankenstein. That's 2 corpses having sex.
I thought the Bride of Frankenstein was a human who just got electrocuted. I may be
No, Frankenstein wanted a bride, so Dr. Frankenstein's like, okay, I'll make you a bride, Frankenstein.
Also,
Don't come at me with that, it's Frankenstein's monster. That's bullcrap and you know it. You're the same person who says, don't you mean the morning when it's past midnight? You suck as a human being, okay? Frickin'... He has to build me a wife, but he's like, oh crap, what if they have kids and make little Frankenstein babies? That's not how it works.
But that wouldn't work because they're not fertile because they're dead.
But okay, Dr. Frankenstein was a crap scientist from the beginning who stumbled across some really good stuff. So he was like, killed the thing, and it's like, there, because I don't want you guys to have babies. And it's like, dude, I'm sterile, you wouldn't even be able to do that.
Oh,
and he kills
hey,
them.
this connects to a really bad Frankenstein movie. Frankenstein, because Aaron Eckhart is killing people, and he becomes a bad guy, and he fights Jai Courtney as a gargoyle, because why not? Because there's a gargoyle society, because I guess Gargoyles TV show is a real society, and they're like, why, you're a horrible monster because you killed, you definitely killed Frankenstein. It's like, yeah, because he killed my wife, so I killed his wife. Sucks to suck, boy. And then he's like, I'm going to be in a bad Underworld ripoff by the people who made Underworld, and I'm going to fight demons, and it's going to be Bill Nye, but not the science guy. Davy Jones.
Yeah.
Bill Nye. Spells it with some more G's or H's.
Yeah, the
Like
chief of police from Hot Fuzz.
Yeah. So, but that's just what that made me think of. Maybe that's what they were
Also,
drawing
he
from.
was in the latest season of Castlevania.
But the Bride of Frankenstein is probably my most recent Frankenstein-related trivia. Unless Frankenstein shows up in Castlevania, in which case I'll have that whenever I catch up on Castlevania. Which they should... Oh, I guess they sort of had werewolves, because in their version, demons and vampires and werewolves are sort of the same.
It looks like they're teasing angels next.
Are we connecting to Angel Wars? Angel Wars now?
They summon a massive angel. It looks like an Old Testament multiple...
What was the name of that? The big bad guy from the first Angel Wars animated movie we watched as kids?
His name was Morgan.
I don't remember you remembering that.
He called himself Morg once he turned evil.
I don't get to talk much.
Yeah, that's why I asked Sam.
Would you like to talk about his various wings that he's had?
He had a lot of transformations. Anyway, I was just going to bring up, in the actual, literary thing, from what I know about Frankenstein...
Monster.
I was just referring to...
I know. I just was doing that to piss Daniel off. See, that's how you.
I'm pretty
convey
sure
a
he
glare.
wasn't even actually technically a corpse, though. He was created from like similar. That he was technically alive, like sentient and alive, not
Well,
like.
in the original book, he was made from perfect corpses, but they were fresh corpses, and then they healed together. And the only way you could tell he was not human
Because of his
were
eyes?
His eyes were like
Yeah, so he was
black with
essentially
yellow.
alive.
So they made like a
he was
sexy
good-
boy.
He was made to be good looking, and he was.
So wait, why do we always convey him as like a patchwork mongoloid?
That comes from an old black and white movie in which they wanted to convey the fact that he's a big lumbering monster.
But in the books, was he lumbering or was he like,
No,
hello,
He
madam?
starts lumbering
And
but then
afraid
he,
of fire, but immediately figures it out and becomes
Yeah, he
intelligent.
gets mastery over fire. He starts reading books like Paradise Lost, where he's like, "Oh, they see me as the devil, but this says the devil might be a good guy," and he becomes smarter than Frankenstein.
And he's like, perhaps I shall, with whom to thou, if thine shall.
Well,
and he's
then-
like, that's a
Then
good
he's
point,
like, "I won't attack
Frankenstein's
innocent
monster.
people, but that Dr. Frankenstein's got to go."
Wait, so, but when does he tell him to make him a wife? It's like, henceforth thou shalt create me.
Well, he starts calling himself Adam.
Okay, I was going to ask if he gets a name, because this Frankenstein's
Yeah,
monster
he
thing
calls
is
himself
confusing.
Adam because he's the first of his kind. He's like, "Hey,
Little on
I
the
need
nose.
I need a wife so I can actually like live a life and be happy and have someone else to, who can relate to me since no one else can." And he's like, "Okay," and that's when he kills the bride and is like, "No, I won't make it for you." So it doesn't even really get to be alive ever, the corpse.
Wait, so the Bride of Frankenstein never even got to be alive?
Dude, Irene Adler was in one book and Moriarty was in two.
I know, it's just, in pop culture, the Bride of Frankenstein has her own spin-off, content.
I know. And she also didn't have weird hair.
What?
Yeah.
Again, Frankenstein wasn't like an angry Hulk creature.
But then
He was
Okay,
good
it
looking
ends
and
with
intelligent.
Frankenstein living in the Arctic after killing Dr. Frankenstein. Just Adam is
Yeah,
just living
that's
up
where
in
he kills
Arctic.
him in the terrible I, Frankenstein movie. There aren't many movies that I will say are so bad it's not even fun to make fun of. I, Frankenstein is one of them. You'll watch that and you'll be like, man, I wish I could watch something Michael Bay directed.
Honestly, I don't like to say this because it implies something bad about The Dark Knight, but I've begun to feel like Aaron Eckhart showing up in something is kind of like a warning sign that the movie might not be as good.
First of all, I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I stand by it. The Dark Knight movies are well-made movies, but they're bad Batman movies
Yes.
after the first one. And the action in them kind of sucks balls.
Yeah.
The chase scenes and stuff are kind of cool, but it's basically just throwing a bunch of elbows and grunting at each other with 13 camera
I hear
angles.
ya.
Which is kind of sad when the climactic final villain is a brawler whose whole thing is, I can't speak normally. And I think that was really... there's a moment when you realize what you're going to do with your life, or someone realizes, no, I like boys. That was when Tom Hardy was like, I hate speaking normally and showing my face. I can make a career out of this.
Yeah, and then that's when he did Mad Max, where he had a weird thing covering his face. And
He
talked
did,
weird.
what was the Dunkirk, I think, that Nolan did, where he's a pilot that has his face covered the whole time. He did Venom, where he gets to do a ridiculous voice for Venom and cover his face as Venom.
Did he do the voice for Venom?
Yeah, he's also Venom.
Whoa, come on, yeah.
They didn't have to. They could have gotten a really cool voice actor.
They
could have
did a
gotten
great
Hugh-
job.
I'm pretty sure that was part of the sales pitch. You can cover your face, you can do a weird voice, and you can act like Charlie Day on crack.
But he could have acted. They could have gotten Keith David to voice Venom. and
Tell
would
me
have been
that
awesome.
Venom wouldn't have been a funnier movie, or a better movie overall, if instead of Tom Hardy, Charlie Day plays him.
I wouldn't have
That-
taken it as seriously, but it would have been interesting.
That
It would have
would've
been way
been-
funnier.
That would have been- my brother's like, why are you even doing this? Because I like to kill things. Let Tom Hardy voice Venom in that case. Well, let's face it, Danny was the best character in all that.
Oh, he was such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
I'm not rooting for him to get back with his ex. She's clearly in a much healthier relationship.
Honestly, he should find someone else.
He needs to move on.
I-
It's just a mature thing to
You
do.
know what? They should throw She-Hulk into the Sony-verse.
Yeah, why
Because
not?
they're never gonna... Because now that Dead...
I think Gina
Daredevil's
Carano
dead.
should play her. I think after The Mandalorian, she's proven that she already has the dark hair. She's already been one of my celebrity crushes. It was Ronda Rousey, but then The Mandalorian kind of swapped. Fast and Furious teetered it to an even split. Mandalorian pushed it over the edge.
Yeah. But I think that... But problem is,
She's a good actress,
once
too.
Daredevil went down, I'm like, okay, well now She-Hulk doesn't really have a natural place to show up because she's a lawyer.
Yeah, she should have shown up.
It would have been an amazing courtroom
You know what they
drama.
should do? They should make an Edgar Wright game, but it's She-Hulk, and it's all set in the Marvel Universe. Yeah, I said it.
Edgar Wright, what?
Or Phoenix Wright. Edgar Wright's the
Oh.
director.
I was really confused.
I was gonna say, like, I'd totally down for an Edgar Wright movie of She-Hulk.
Well, yeah, no,
I would watch the crap out of that.
All right, so I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it to you. The perfect game in a sort of Fast and Furious franchise, and I think the perfect Fast and Furious movie as well, because you get elements of it in 4 and 5, is where the characters are always fast. So you're like parkour, free running, chase scenes on foot, chase scenes in a plane, chase scenes in a boat, chase scenes in a car, and lots of like actual kung fu fist fights and like brawls. You were both fast and furious. So you need to fuse like Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs, and then also mix that in with like Forza. That's the perfect Fast and Furious experience. Which you would think that would work because a lot of that happens in Hobbs and Shaw. However, they forgot to write the characters the way they've been in the previous movies and give them any form of personality other than, oh, I don't like you. Yeah, well, I don't like you either. I'm vaguely Southern sometimes. I'm Dwayne Johnson. Because he's like, listen here, you son of a gun. I'm going to take you down. And then other times he's like, I'm articulate. He can't decide. And you can really tell, though, the Southern accent kind of comes from when it was supposed to be Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
But can you imagine a fight scene between Vin Diesel and old man Tommy Lee Jones in Brazil?
It's just like, ugh. Like, kind of slapping him slowly.
It's like, you can't touch me. This is Brazil. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm from Texas.
Just shoots him dead. Into the series.
No, family! Then Tyrese, like, slips a little bit of money to Tommy Lee Jones.
Thank you. He was going to ruin the franchise. I cannot believe the legitimate beef between Tyrese and Dwayne Johnson, because in that fight, there's no question about who wins. Like, Vin Diesel could put up a good fight. I genuinely think that Batista and Jason Momoa would be the only people that could put up a fight. Chris Hemsworth is buff, but I don't think he's mean. I think he's a nice buff. He's like a healthy buff guy. He's not like a I could hurt you buff guy. I'm sorry, did I bore you? Chris Hemsworth should play Frankenstein's monster. He's beautiful.
I could see that.
He's dead. Well, actually, Tom Hardy probably be better for that.
Give me a strange face.
You know what? Get Sam Worthington. Dead acting, but pretty face.
Yeah, but I have to believe that he's intelligent.
No. He doesn't. Apparently, there was some show he was in where he's like a detective, and I can't imagine that there's ever like a supernatural tone to it where it's like very happy, kind of quirky jokes. Dude, I'd love to see him show up in Supernatural where it's like the imaginary friend murder scene and everything.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like because Blue's Clues tried to convince me that Joe was as dedicated to solving these crimes as Steve was, and I never bought it, I don't think I could believe that Sam Worthington is a hot, like, he's on the case and he's hot on the heels of these criminals.
He always just seems like he just, like, came out of, like, a steam room or something.
You know what I just realized?
Migraine.
Happy, the show Happy with Patton Oswalt, that is like the spiritual successor to Blue's Clues.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot about a kid's show being run by pedophiles. Or it's, like the best Max Payne adaptation we'll ever have. Take your pick. I can't bring myself to watch more of it.
It's actually kind of stressful. I'm like, man, I forgot how much I hate people.
Of Gotham ever, because like the cops aren't a-holes and don't do their job right, and you're like, man, someone does.
Also, the fight scenes are really good.
I prefer a Gotham where the cops are good. It's just that everything's so bad that they have pessimistic jokes about the odds of them ever getting anywhere. Well,
let me pitch you on this. What about a Gotham
with Fish Mooney,
where Jada Pinkett Smith is a crime boss?
Who?
Will Smith's real wife.
With zero charisma. And Jim Gordon dates the girl that he's supposed to be married to in the comic books, but then she goes crazy and ends up in a coma. So he has a baby with someone else. And there are 3 Jokers. And the Riddler and the Penguin date each other and are criminals, but then one of them gets elected into office while the other one started off as a coroner for the police department.
Well, Penguin always did run for mayor.
Where Harvey Bullock gives up being a police detective because it was a bad influence on him, quits drinking to open a bar because that's what relapsing addicts like to do.
Harvey Bullock in like the animated series is just someone who doesn't like trust Batman. That's his big like shtick. He's not corrupt. He just doesn't trust Batman.
Also, in year 1, he's not corrupt. What I'm trying to say is that Gotham is what happens if someone asked Lady Gaga to describe comic books.
The show, not the actual fictitious city.
Yes. the TV show Gotham, which thank God is over.
It's
Did you see
over?
how bad the Batman costume looked?
No.
Okay, that's how we're going to finish this episode. If you could guess how bad this would look.
I'm guessing Party City mask. Or like the ears are like clearly glued on, like you can see the seam
I
line.
instinctively want it to be good to the point that I can't imagine how bad it could be.
Okay, I'll show you the
tarp has wrinkles.
I'll show you the look
tarp
that like
tape.
he wears as a kid fighting crime, where he looks like the youngest sex worker in a gimp mask.
Oh my!
And then this is him as the final form Batman. Let me bring it up. There you go.
That mask is really just.
Let me show you what it looks like not in that camera angle. Yeah, there you go.
Is the Bat logo falling off?
Pretty much. It looks like it's falling like... It looks like a suit that you take 2 steps and it's gonna fall apart. Like it's held together by tape.
Yeah.
My mommy made this.
I wish she's dead! But yeah, Gotham is a horrible show for horrible people.
That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah.
This has been the Poppycock Podcast. I hope you had fun, and if you didn't, thanks for listening anyway.
Dude, no one's listening. Stop it.
Thanks, Mom. Mom doesn't listen to this.
Well, we won't be seeing him again.